Step outside of your comfort zone. See the world with a whole new perspective. Join us and experience the unexplained on the Paranormal View.
Welcome everybody to the Paranormal View right here on the ParaX Radio Network. I just want to thank everybody for being here, no matter where you're from around the world. If you're not in the chat room with us, please come over to para-x.com. Click on live chat at the top and it'll put you right in the chat room with all these wonderful people. You'll be able to then participate by asking questions to myself or Craig or Jeffrey. And Jeffrey's having a little problems getting connected. As soon as he gets on, we'll get him in with us. Until then, though, I want to thank everybody. And it's been a wonderful week. Cold, freezing, but it's been great. We have a great guest on tonight, which we're going to get to in just a few minutes. We have, of course, my co-host Craig Rupp with me right now, and we'll have Jeffrey Gould on as soon as he gets back on.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Yes. How's your week been? Craig?
Cold, very cold.
Very cold.
As you well know.
Yes.
And I want to make a quick shout out. You said around the world. We have a first-time listener from Australia tonight. Big shout out to Simone. Thanks for tuning in tonight.
All right. That is great. So we have a guest tonight. His name is John Sabol. And Craig, since you know a lot about him, I'm going to let you do all the introductions and everything when we in just a minute. First, I want to remind everybody that you can go to the paranormalview.com website, and you can take and listen to our podcasts from there. If you're here in ParaX, you can go to the On Demand button and listen to our podcasts. So we really appreciate you doing that. And with that, why don't you go ahead and bring in or introduce John while I get Jeffrey on.
Alrighty. Tonight we have John Sabol. He is a ghost excavator. And he is from Mahanoy City, Pennsylvania. Welcome, John.
Yeah, how you doing, Craig? Nice to talk to you again.
Nice to talk to you. Now we have.
Too bad we're not out there in the field tonight.
How about
cold.
That's all right. Antietam. We had a great time.
We're going back soon, and I want to send out a special invite to anybody who would like to participate in the next phase of our ghost excavations at Antietam. Please get in touch with me or get in touch with Craig, because we are going back out, and we're going back out real soon.
And you will not be disappointed, because when you're with John, he keeps it going, he keeps it moving. You do not get bored, not for 1 second. So please contact either one of us. You'll have a great time.
Okay.
Did you get Jeffrey?
Yes, Jeff, you with us?
Yes, I can hear you again.
Yeah, his computer locked up.
Yeah.
And he had to reboot everything. So we got Jeff on with us now, and want to welcome him for being on with us. And Jeff, we have John Sabol with us tonight. So
how do you do?
I am sure that it's going to be a fun night tonight. I know Craig just got done telling us that we have a new listener from, you said, Australia?
Australia. Her name is Simone.
Okay. That's absolutely great. Besides from Australia, you can listen to this one. We have people from the United States, United Kingdom, Finland, and Chile. So welcome everybody.
¿Cómo están allá en Chile?
Yeah. Welcome everybody to the show tonight. And I hope you have a great time.
Bienvenidos a la show de hoy. Hola de Estados Unidos a los ciudadanos y los investigadores de Chile.
All right.
Well, Henry, we could just sit back and let John do
Yeah. And also, I can speak some Australian, too. I have some Foster's beer because I've been on a number of shows over there with Rusty over there in Australia.
All
but he
right.
doesn't like Foster's. He calls it, well, I won't tell you what he calls it.
Rusty's a great
So
guy,
hello
too.
to Australia as well. And hello to England over there, too. I can't wait to go back. I am going back to England this year, too, and return to do some more ghost excavations at Winchester, England, that I've done a long time ago. I can't wait to go back.
Well, the chat room in here is just absolutely full. And like I said before, if you're not in here with us, please do so. Come over to para-x.com, click on the live chat button at the top, and you'll be in here with all these wonderful people. One thing I want to say before we actually get started, I told them that I would, and I want to thank everybody tonight for all the great happy birthdays that's come my way. I appreciate each and every one. I would read names, but it would take pretty much the entire show from all the ones that I've gotten, but I do want to thank everybody, so appreciate
What's today your birthday?
Yes, it is, and I'm working
Well,
tonight.
happy birthday.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank
happy
you.
birthday.
And it's been
Happy
a good one,
birthday,
too.
Henry.
So I thank my wife for that. She tried to do a little surprise birthday thing, but I kind of had it smelled out all along.
Henry.
But she did a good thing. She had a great meal fixed and had the kids and grandkids over, so had a great time.
That sounds great.
Yeah, had a great time. Well, John,
Yes.
let's start off here by finding out a little bit about you. Why don't you start off and tell us how you got into the paranormal and all that good stuff?
Well, it kind of really started off when I was pretty young. I'd say about 8 or 9 years old. Up in the coal regions, you know, it's a very ruined landscape when I was growing up, because it was the era after the coal boom. So everything was on the decline. So there was a lot of old buildings and old breakers and collieries and things like that. So I used to do a lot of exploring. I was really into history when I was a young kid. I used to read a lot of books. So I'd go, you know, with my friends and do some exploring around these old dilapidated ruins. And every so often I'd just, you know, sense something, or I'd hear something, or I'd see something out of the corner of my eye that I really couldn't understand. So it got me interested in that. I began as I wrote in one of my books. I said I was born in the 50s. I was a ghost hunter in the 60s. I became an archaeologist in the 70s. I was an actor in the 80s. In the 90s, I became a ghost excavator, and today I'm a combination of all of those different roles that I played throughout my life. So I've been doing these things, looking for ghosts as a ghost hunter, as an archaeologist, as a cultural anthropologist, as an actor when I do theatrical ghostings of trying to get into the role of different things. I've been doing this since I can remember. And like I said, it started off when I was 7 or 8 years old, and in my first book called Ghost Excavator, I talk about 3 experiences that I had. The first thing was the search for the White Lady, and in Mahanoy City up in Eastern Pennsylvania, we had 2 white ladies, one in the eastern section of the town and one in the western section of the town. And around 9 or 10 years old, we were out there looking for the White Lady, and I talk about that experience in the book. We used to tell ghost stories in the wintertime at the Catholic Slovak church down in the basement in the furnace room, and there was a story that up on the 2nd floor where the old Slovak elementary school used to be, that there were ghost children up there still waiting for their teacher to come back to them, and there was a dare among us 8 or 9 year olds that, well, one person would have to go up to the 2nd or 3rd floor, walk down that hallway through all those classrooms and see if they could find these ghost children. I was the first one who did it, and it was a pretty creepy experience. So that became a part of what I wanted to do. And the third thing was I used to like to go into the woods a lot, and I'd had these experiences. I don't know if they're. I've also searched for Bigfoot when I was back in I was one of the first to go down and look for the Bigfoot in the legend, and that came out in the Legend of Boggy Creek. I was there when it was being filmed. So, but when I was younger, I had these experiences in the woods around Mahanoy City too. That it was some kind of strange, unknown creature walking around those woods that I could never find out what was. So all of these three things, the Slovak ghost children, this unknown creature in the woods, and the white lady, all of these things began when I was 8 or 9 years old, and they slowly developed. In 1969, I went over to England, in Winchester, England, and during the day I was doing archaeological work as a student archaeologist, and at night I would be ghost hunting, and so that developed there. And then I went down in the 70s as working as an archaeologist in Mexico, and I had a lot of experiences. I have a master's degree in archaeology and cultural anthropology. So I did a lot of work in England, in Germany, in the United States, and in Mexico as an archaeologist and as a cultural anthropologist. As an archaeologist, I'm accustomed to unearthing past presence in many different forms. As an anthropologist, I studied other cultures where there was a very large belief in spirits and in ghosts. So I'm kind of really, everything I've ever did has led up to what I am today, as I described, this ghost excavator. I go in and I use archaeology, I go in and I use cultural anthropology, and I use acting in my ghost excavations, trying to unearth contextual, resonating, interactive, past cultural presence in my ghost excavations. And Craig, who is there, had first-hand experiences. He can tell you exactly from his point of view exactly how this works when we were working at Antietam. In 6 or 7 hours at Antietam, we just uncovered all kinds of interactive presences there on the Burnside Bridge part of the battlefield.
What impresses me is that the research John and Mary put into it before we go out and do an actual excavation. The documents, the names, nobody does a roll call like Big Jim, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Very impressed. We actually got our first question. This is for John, how does one excavate the ghosts? Could you explain that? That's from Kat in the chat room.
Okay, the first thing I would do is I usually excavate at places that have long histories and long cultural occupations, multi-level cultural occupations. The whole idea for using an archaeological sensibility and sensitivity is to look at places that have multiple levels of haunting uncertainty, that have long histories. So if we go to a place, for example, Fort Mifflin, for example, or a place like just a Civil War battlefield, there is much more haunting uncertainties than just the Civil War presence or just one certain occupation. As an archaeologist, I go down and excavate not horizontally by doing a surface instrument sweep and noting anomalies. The most important thing is to look at the history of the site, to look at the cultural occupations of the site, and then divide these into various levels of occupation. So as an archaeologist, I go down by layers. So at one site is occupied, for example, at Fort Mifflin, we have occupations from the Revolutionary War up through the Korean War. There are multiple cultural and historical levels of uncertainty. If you just do a horizontal sweep across there and you get something, you don't know where this is coming from what time period, or from whom. So what I do initially is I select a particular layer of cultural and historical uncertainty at a site by going down vertically. Once I get down to that particular occupation that I want to investigate vertically, then I go horizontally by becoming an anthropologist and studying the cultural behaviors of that particular time period. Once I understand what cultures or what ethnicities were occupying this particular space in history, I tried to write cultural scenarios that would resonate with that particular time in history and with those particular cultures that occupied particular spaces at that site. So you go down vertically as an archaeologist, then you go horizontally as a cultural anthropologist, creating cultural scenarios, participating and observing. You create these various cultural scripts that would resonate with the ghost who may still be lingering in that place. The whole idea, first of all, with this vertical and then the horizontal, the whole idea is to be identified as a member of that particular culture. I don't want to go in there and go do a horizontal sweep and say, is anybody here? If you're here, show us a sign of your presence. Well, that's not the way you do an investigation, because you have to do I don't go in and look and find out about what other ghost hunters have done before, where they found evidence, where they've got anomalies. I don't look at that at all. I go down and look at the history and the culture of a site, then create these scenarios, not being influenced by what others have found, but creating my own scenarios and doing these various cultural practices and see which ones are resonating, i.e. they cause a manifestation. Because going in there, I'm not prejudiced by saying, okay, we're going to do this scenario because I know this scenario is going to work. I don't know which of my resonating cultural scenarios will work, because I believe that what remains, that what lingers at sites is cultural memory of human beings, and it's their cultural world that I'm trying to unearth. So I'm trying to resonate with what they did while they were alive. I'm trying to stimulate their cultural memory by doing something that they actually did in life. By doing that, I'm resonating with them, but also I'm being identified as one of them and not an outsider coming in. So again, that's the archaeological part is going down vertically by layer. The anthropological part is going then horizontally, creating various scenarios. The team goes in there creating these various scenarios. We have an observation team looking at these scenarios and letting me know, or letting the team know, or the person that is doing these scenarios when something happens. So these are called immediate field reveals. Once we get an immediate field reveal, we get a certain sound, or we get a certain reaction, a certain manifestation, we immediately jump on that and target a specific individual or group of individuals from that time period. So we're going from a participatory cultural resonating act, getting a manifestation, then going immediately into a performance targeting a specific individual or specific individuals from that time period. This is what I call popping a ghost, unearthing a ghost, participating in the culture of that time period, observing the scenarios that we are executing, not knowing which ones are going to work or not, because if these are interactive ghosts and these were former human beings, they have likes and dislikes. I might resonate from that time period with these cultural acts, but they might not like that because in life they didn't like it in the first place. So I don't know which is going to work. So I try various different cultural resonating scenarios, see which ones work, then immediately go in and target a specific group or individual. Participating, observing, performing. Popping a ghost.
Okay.
And Craig, you know it works.
I know it works.
You've seen it work many, many, many times at Antietam. It just time again. We were getting hit with so much stuff at once. It was just unbelievable, right?
Right. One of the things that stand out, and I believe I sent the EVP. We'll play it later. When Mary was sitting on the marker, reading the letter from I believe it was the wife of the soldier that was killed there.
Right, it was the wife. No, it was the wife of a soldier. He was a medical He was a medical officer that survived the battle. He was the 11th Connecticut, a surgeon that survived the battle. He wrote home a letter describing what he experienced at Burnside Bridge. Mary sat on the 11th Connecticut monument reading the letter. Mary's here right now. She can tell you a little bit more if you want to let her say a little bit about this. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay. Well, as I was sitting reading the letter, I remember. Well, Craig, you weren't touching the camera. You were viewing through it, though, right? And you kept seeing like something trying to manifest in front of me. Correct?
Well, not only that, the camera itself was shaking. It was moving.
Yeah. And then you were touched as well, right?
I was touched, and we all heard it's almost like wood on wood or an axe being hit into wood.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of activity.
And then we got that fantastic EVP where they were singing.
Yes.
One soldier started singing, and then you could hear others coming in. That should be one of the EVPs that you have, I think. When you're talking about going home or coming home or something like that, it was very, very, very clear. I mean, there were multiple things happening there during the reading of that. Now, this is a cultural scenario enacted by a female. This is called theatrical ghosting. Mary did a theatrical ghosting of the wife reading a letter from her husband of a man who was at Antietam and describing what happened there. And she was just reading it very, very, very emotional, very, very, immersed into reading this letter, and we were getting all kinds of different things going on simultaneously all at once. We were just getting hit with all different types of things going on. It was just amazing. But we knew this was going on, so we continued the scenario. We targeted that particular individual or those individuals, from the 11th Connecticut. So we continued that scenario. We didn't just have it recorded, didn't know what was going on, and then the next day review the audio and say, oh, gee, we got this, or gee, we got that. We immediately got an immediate field reveal, and we immediately followed up on it. That's very, very, very important.
Now, this was at Burnside's Bridge?
Burnside Bridge, right. At the 11th, well, this particular scenario was enacted at the monument to the 11th Connecticut, which was down the Wurbach Country Road up in the woods. The 11th Connecticut, there were 5 assaults on Burnside Bridge. There were about 1,200 to 2,000 Union troops trying to cross Burnside Bridge on September 17th. They were facing only about 280, 300 Confederates on the opposite side. It took 5 hours. It took 5 hours to cross that bridge. And the only reason they crossed that bridge was because the Confederates did not get reinforcements and they ran out of ammunition. So they kind of really retreated back. So they finally crossed the bridge. But the 11th Connecticut had the first and second assaults. 39 men of the 11th Connecticut died. Men died in that first and second assault. They were slaughtered. Just men right there, died right there, 39 of them. I mean, that's not including how many were missing in action and how many were wounded. 30 men died in that. And on that monument of the 11th Connecticut were the names of those 39 individuals. What I did during one of the scenarios there was I did a roll call of those 39 men. I went down one individual after another individual after another individual, pausing between each name to see if anybody would respond. I went down the list, and I got to this one name. I forget the name, but I have it in the book, a private. And Gary French, who was with us, one of the investigators, he had audio phones on, so he was listening to me say these names, but at the same time he was hearing any noise in the ambient environment. When I said this individual soldier's name, Gary says, hey, he just said present.
Wow.
And we got it.
No, that's
So we did a scenario of these soldiers who died in the first and second assaults on Burnside Bridge. One soldier, after naming his name, said in context, present.
That's interesting. Well, now
That's nothing. We got other things just a lot more incredible than that. It was a night of incredible documentation that we got. It was just so much interesting things that we got that night. It was just everything, every scenario, and Craig could tell you that practically every scenario that we did, we got something, and usually multiple things. Am I not right, Craig?
You are correct. And even when we were done, remember the gunshots? Remember the gunshots? Yeah. So, yeah. And the thing I loved about it was Antietam alone, 2 o'clock in the morning, nothing to contaminate the evidence.
No.
Great night.
Now, did you actually hear the gunshots or just caught them on the
I caught them on the recorder.
Okay. Jeff, are you back?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. I've just been listening enraptured. I watched one of John Sabol's YouTube videos, so I knew how exuberant and passionate he is, and that we pretty much could just listen to him for like 17 hours.
Oh, Jeffrey, wait till you go out with him. I mean, you will not.
Wait to see me in the field. And wait to see, when me and Big Jim go out in the field, we run around like we're like 2-year-old kids. I mean, we just have a great time. But it's very, very serious stuff. I mean, this is very, very serious. And everything is highly controlled. And, we have a great time. That, we don't have to make this stuff up. It just hits us like, I mean, they love us. They really love us out there. Right, Craig?
Right. It's like I said, John does his research, and Mary, so you know what you're getting into, and John puts you into the role that you would be on the battlefield back in the day.
We got some questions.
This is why, how I organize it. For example, I have I divided the Antietam, Warburg, Wurbach, Road, Farm Road, and Burnside Bridge. I divided it into a military terrain strategy that was used during the Civil War. It's called 𝘋𝘶𝘯𝘬𝘯, K-O-C-O-A. There were key areas, the K, observation areas, the O, cover and concealment areas, the C, obstacle areas, the O, and avenues of approach, A, 𝘋𝘶𝘯𝘀. This was used by military commanders during the Civil War. I divided the battlefield into those areas. So, for example, the key area was Burnside Bridge. Observation areas were the top of the hill overlooking Burnside Bridge. Cover and concealment areas were the areas that the Confederates were positioned in behind stone walls and behind trees. The avenues of approach were the avenues that the 11th Connecticut took up that road, or the 51st Pennsylvania or the 51st New York came down through the fields toward the bridge. In each of those different physical areas, we did different types of scenarios depending upon the type of space. In the cover and concealment areas, we sat down with the soldiers and talked about home life in Georgia, because it was the 2nd Georgians who were defending the bridge. In an avenue of approach, we did it like we were in a battle. And Craig could tell you, me and him were fighting as soldiers on the Wurbach Country Road. And tell them what we got, Craig, when me and you were fighting.
Oh, the Yankee.
Yeah.
When I was laying down and you were calling me a Yankee dog. Yeah, we got a Yankee on EVP.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
and,
part
and we
of
got traitor. They said traitor because I was running around with a simulated rebel yell running up and down the Union side. So what we got in this 𝘋𝘶𝘯𝘀, K-O-A, is different types of EVP related to what actually happened there. For example, in a cover and concealment area where they were behind areas where they weren't being hit or killed, the EVPs were a lot clearer than along the road as a major avenue of approach that assaulted the bridge, where the EVPs were more emotional. We got differences between the two of those things. Now, what the whole thing of these cultural scenarios was based on, it was based on IMP. That's inherent military probability. That is not my term. It's a term used by historians. Inherent military probability is what a soldier would do in particular circumstances during war. So I created scenarios of inherent military probability related to what a soldier would do in a cover and concealment area, or what a soldier would do in an avenue of approach. That's how I approach these. That's how I develop these cultural scenarios. And believe me, it works. This is all part of what we call the culture of war. Again, this is not my term. It's Paul Fussel's term, who wrote various books about World War II. He was a soldier during World War II. He also wrote some books about, some articles about Gettysburg and how the Battle of Gettysburg was fought. He calls it the culture of war. So what I wanted to do was immerse the team into using inherent military probability, what those soldiers would have done during that battle. We did that to resonate with them. Therefore, we were identified by them as one of them. And that's why we got all of these things that we got. All of this developed as the culture of war during the Civil War. And these are not EVPs. These are what I call EOCs, ethnographies of communication. It's not only what you say, it's how you say it, who you say it to, where you say it, and a whole bunch of different things. It's not going like everybody does on TV, running around saying, is anybody here? If you are here, show us a sign of your presence. I'm getting tired. If you are really here, do something so I know you're here. We don't do anything like that because that's the wrong approach. It depends on, if you were talking to an individual out in the street, are you going to tell them, hey, talk to me, show me a sign that you're alive? You don't talk to an individual like that. I don't talk to a ghost like that. I try to communicate to them on their level based on what they would understand. That is not EVP, it's EOC, ethnography of communication. The cultural aspect of trying to communicate, trying to resonate with the cultural memory of a lingering, interactive past presence. In this case, inherent military probability of the culture of war during the Civil War, specifically in avenues of approach, cover, and concealment areas at Burnside Bridge on September 17th, 1862. Now, you can't get any more clearer than that. And believe me, you go out there and you will be amazed at what you get. It's unbelievable.
This sounds interesting, and I tell you, I can't wait. I'm going to have to try that sometime. So,
well, you got to try it with me first.
Oh, okay.
You try it with me first. I'll show you how it's done, and you go out and use it. Because
we're going
see how
to.
it really works. I mean, it's amazing. It's just amazing. I can't wait to go back. I mean, we got other things too. Like we created the final assault of the 51st Pennsylvania and the 51st New York. The final assault, the fifth assault on the bridge. Big Jim was on the Confederate side with Craig, stirring up the Confederates. I was on the Union side with Mike Stevenson, an historian, stirring up the Union side. And on a video, we have a video of me with my flashlight, but I try not to use flashlights. I try to use like the lanterns or something like that would be typical from that time period. A flashlight betrays that you're not from that time period because they didn't have flashlights then. So I'm there on the video reading the exact words that were read by some of the soldiers on the 5th Assault at Antietam, and then I ordered charge across the bridge, and you'll hear on the other side Big Jim and Craig go, charge, and we run out to the middle of the bridge, fighting amongst ourselves in the final assault. The camera is still rolling, but it's not focused on us. It's focused on the bridgehead where the final assault came over the bridge, and all of a sudden it's all black there, and you can hear us fighting in the distance, and all of a sudden this flash goes across the video screen, and I originally thought it was a cannonball going across. Well, I showed this to two individuals who are very, very knowledgeable of firearms during the Civil War. And I'm not talking about reenactors. These people saw actual usages of, 1859 Springfields used in context in demonstrations at historical sites. And both of them, independent of one another, said that this flash was the flash from the hammer of a flintlock rifle as it hit the whatever it is, hit it, the flash hit out, and coming from an 1859 Springfield rifle. What we actually got on film then was somebody from the 51st Pennsylvania, because that's where the video was being filmed. Somebody from the 51st Pennsylvania firing a 1859 Springfield at us as we ran toward the middle of the bridge.
Well, that's interesting.
This was not a residual because it was in direct relation to us ordering the charge across the bridge, and this was fired in response to my order. So this was definitely not a residual recording. It was an actual lingering soldier from 1862 from the 51st Pennsylvania firing an 1859 Springfield rifle at us.
Wow. We're going to take a quick break.
Yeah, the questions are rolling in, so.
Yes, I have some questions too. And when we come back, let's see if we can get caught up on some of these questions before we go back into some more of this that's pretty interesting. I do want to remind everybody that if you're not here with us, you can go to para-x.com, click on the live chat. It'll put you in the chat room, and you'll be able to participate with us in asking questions of the guest. So I do want to thank everyone for listening from around the world, because we do have tons of people listening tonight. Appreciate each and every one. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump off for about 5 or 6 minutes, take a quick break here, and we'll be back shortly. So stay tuned for more of John Sabol, and you're listening to the Paranormal View right here on the Para-X Radio Network with 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘕, John Sabol, Craig Sabol, and Jeffrey Gould.
Craig
Rupp.
I knew I'd get it wrong.
Craig Rupp. Yeah. John Sabol.
Craig Rupp, John Sabol.
Jeffrey Gould.
That's my birthday. Give me a break. So we'll be right back. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody, to the Paranormal View right here on the Para-X Radio Network. And I'll try and talk a little bit better this time. So I want to welcome everybody back. Tonight we have John Sabol on as guest, and I have Craig Rupp and Jeffrey Gould here as co-hosts with me. I assume everybody is back in now. Nobody run away?
Yes. Yep. No, we're here.
Yep.
We have tons and tons of questions that have come in. So I think what we're going to do is start getting some of those asked. And I'm sure that each one of us has got some that's come in. Craig, you've got some?
Yeah. John, Natalie,
Yeah.
and Jan, we were actually talking about this before the show. Natalie and Jan want to know when you're coming back. You guys are coming back to the Stagecoach House.
You mean where I couldn't make it down?
Right, last weekend.
Oh, I'll go back tomorrow if they want to go.
Okay, guys, you hear that?
I'm ready to go whenever anybody wants to go. I'll go. I'll go anytime. I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like an interesting site, but I don't really want to know what's going on there from a paranormal standpoint. I just want to know what the history is and the cultural history is, so I can, if you guys let me, if I can do a little cultural scenarios there and see if we can unearth some spirits. But I'm ready to
guys,
go. I'm looking forward to it.
Set it up, guys. And my next question is from Doug from Ghost Soldiers, Doug McReynolds. He wants to know if you ever need he does Colonel Chamberlain.
Yes, I do. I want to. Hey, you were there, Craig, with me at Little Round Top. when we did the 20th Maine and the 15th Alabama, I definitely need him as Colonel Chamberlain to do some of these scenarios. Anytime he wants to, let me know, and we'll make it a point, and we'll go there and we'll do these things, and we'll really get some good stuff.
There you go, Dougie. Thanks, John.
Yep.
Okay, I have one that is from Viking 1, and he wants to know if you have ever been attacked or startled by a spirit of a person that you might have dug up during an archaeological dig.
No, I haven't. I don't know. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, because most of the time when I go in there and I'm so immersed in what I'm doing is that I don't sense anything around me, or I don't feel anybody around me, or I don't get like I said, I depend on the team to tell me what's going on. I just go in there and immerse myself in what I have to do. Now, I've been told by more than one psychic or clairvoyant medium, they've told me that behind me they have seen like 3 or 4 individuals. Each, like 2 or 3 individuals have told me that, clairvoyant psychic or mediums have told me, each one of them has said, you are 2 or 3 individuals behind you that protect you. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I have never had anything happen to me physically or psychologically in any of the things that I do. But I think the point is, what I do, I don't try to provoke these ghosts, or I don't try to do something that they would try to attack me. I try to go in and understand them from their point of view. I don't go in and say, do something for me. I go in there and say, hey, look at me. I'm just like you. I'm doing things that you did. Do you remember doing these things? So I think I go in with a very, very positive attitude, with a very, very cultural resonating perspective, and I think I resonate very well with them, and they identify with me very well.
Okay. Did you have any more questions, Craig?
No.
Okay, Jeff?
I don't have any in the private chat, but in the open chat, I noticed Christina was wondering, John, if you've ever unearthed prehistoric bones like cavemen or such.
You mean as an archaeologist?
I would guess that would be your question.
Yes. The archaeology I have done, I've worked when I worked in Winchester, England. I worked in the down to the Roman occupation and the medieval history of Winchester, including a bubonic plague death pit near Winchester Cathedral. In Mexico, I worked at the largest archaeological pyramid in the world at Cholula. I also worked in the Valley of Mexico surveying a lot of the archaeological sites north of Mexico City. Also worked at 𝘋𝘰𝘯𝘰𝘺𝘯𝘊. In eastern South Dakota, I did a lot of work in the historic period with cultures from the Plains Indians. In eastern Tennessee, I worked with the Mississippian culture, 14th, 15th century culture, specifically the Dallas culture. So I've never really worked anything earlier than the Roman period in all my archaeological work, which is probably about AD 100 or AD 200. That's about the earliest I've gone down in occupations.
Well, now, doing that and going down to the Roman period like that, did you get to go back and do some of the ghost excavation to try and see if you could communicate with some of them?
Well, what is very, very interesting, that what happened to me in Winchester. Now, I didn't know all of these things. I put the whole story together when I wrote one of my last books called Digging Deep, An Archaeologist Unearths a Haunted Life. When I worked in Winchester in 1969, I worked at Wolsey Palace, which was a 12th century palace, and it went down to the Roman occupation because it was continually occupied for hundreds of years. So there you have multiple levels. But I didn't know the history of Wolsey Palace. But at the time that it was important, Winchester was the capital of England. And at the time at Wolsey Palace, the King of England demanded tribute from the Welsh. Now, the tribute that they demanded from the Welsh was wolf skins. So all of these Welsh would have to provide wolf skins from killed wolves as tribute to the English king at Winchester. So that's how Wolsey Palace got its name. Now, I didn't know that at the time, but when I was doing archaeology during the day and ghost hunting at night. Well, one night we did a seance in about 2 blocks away from Winchester Cathedral, right on the corner of High Street. And I was up there on the 2nd floor, and we had this woman who, was supposed to be a trance medium, and we all got in a circle, and she said, you're all falling down a deep pit, and everything is black. Don't think of anything. I said, oh, this woman's trying to hypnotize us, So I kept on listening to the conversation. The windows were open, so I listened to the conversations that were going on outside in the street, so I wouldn't want to listen to what this woman was saying. So as time went on, nothing was going on. 10 minutes passed, 15 minutes passed, nothing was going on. Then all of a sudden, I felt something, and all of a sudden, my head just started to shake, and my whole body just started to shake. And I says, no, you're just doing this to yourself. And I was still listening to the conversations of people out there in the street. But all of a sudden, I lost complete control of my body. Like my head was being pushed down, and then somebody was grabbing my hair from the back and banging it against the wall to my back. And I felt this image of a wolf, like I was transforming into a wolf. And I felt these fangs being developed in my mouth, and the spittle was coming down my chest, and I felt like body hair growing on my chest. So I felt I was actually being transformed into a wolf. And I said, whoa, this is really weird. And I finally thought, well, I got to open my eyes. Or something's going to happen. So boop, I opened my eyes, and everything's quiet. Nothing's going on. Everybody's just sitting around in a circle, and nothing's happening. So I said, well, wait a minute. I'm working at 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘗𝘳 Palace, excavating 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘗𝘳 Palace. This palace is so named because the Welsh were providing tribute in wolf skins to the King of England at 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘗 Palace. I have a seance, and I get possessed by a wolf. Now, is that more than coincidence? Wolves have been extinct in England since the 14th century. Why would I have this image of me being transformed into a wolf after digging at 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘗𝘳 Palace, so named because of wolf hide skins being there as a tribute? And I didn't put the connection together until last year when I wrote this book. So I thought that was a pretty interesting idea. So I don't know, maybe I unearthed some kind of, something from digging at 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘗𝘳 Palace. And it came at me, during the seance. I got possessed by a wolf. There was a tribute by the Welsh to 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘗 Palace. I thought that was pretty interesting.
And where was this located at?
Winchester, England.
Winchester, England.
Yes, about 20 miles south of Stonehenge. The famous ruins of Stonehenge in southeastern England.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, England would be an interesting place, is with the old history to it.
Oh yeah. I'd love to go back to England, and there's I have a lot of friends on Facebook from England, and they're always, I tell them I'm going back, this year, and they're saying, well, hey, can we work with you? I said, sure, anytime. So I got an open invitation to a bunch of groups over there in England who would like to do some ghost excavations. I think the English are very, very, they resonate very much with what I do because of their long history of belief in ghosts and hauntings, and their long history. I think it resonates very, very well with the way I approach an investigation, historic investigation, because you have this multiple occupations at the same space. And I can't wait to go back. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, that's the only time. I've had other experiences, in Mexico. I think I had somebody actually. I worked with brujos, which are witches in Mexico, studying them as an anthropologist would study their belief systems. And I've seen and I've experienced a lot of weird things. I had a limpia in Mexico. That's a cleansing by a curandero, a cure to cleanse me of bad vibes and they used an egg. And if you ever saw the movie The Alamo, the latest version of The Alamo, they do a scene in where a woman comes in and cleanses Jim Bowie with an egg, and then breaks the egg and puts the yolk in a glass of water, and it forms into different things. Well, that's what actually happened to me. They did a cleansing with the egg on my body, and they broke the egg and put the yolk in this glass of water, and it formed into a demon. And I said, whoa, demon, what does that mean? And she says, well, there are people jealous of you, of what you do, so that's what this demon is. So I just cleansed your body of this jealousy from these other people that are trying to attack you psychically. So, I mean, I've had a lot of strange things. I've been on the Pyramid of the Sun in 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘬𝘯 during a total solar eclipse of the sun back in 1991, up at the top of the Pyramid of the Sun. And I saw, you wouldn't believe all the different rituals and religious acts going on by thousands of people. If you ever saw the movie 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘢𝘯, about the Maya collapse with Mel Gibson, I mean, there's this one scene in there where they have a solar eclipse and everybody's just staring at it like it's the end of the world. Well, that's exactly what happened in 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘊 in 1990. These people thought it was the end of the world, and there were thousands of people just waiting and see if the world was going to end. And then all of a sudden the sun comes back, and they just have a big joyous celebration and all these rituals with all these things going on. It was just amazing. I mean, as an anthropologist, I've had a lot of experiences. As an archaeologist, I've had a lot of experiences. So for me, it's second nature to not believe, but to know for a fact that, yes, I can, or we can, unearth past presence. Every day an archaeologist goes in and does an excavation. They're unearthing past presence. They're bringing something from the past that was buried maybe 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago that is buried in the ground. They're bringing it from the past to the surface of today in an excavation. And I do exactly the same thing in a ghost excavation. I am bringing back a presence from the past. And if you look at archaeology today, there are things out there called haunting archaeologies and paranormal archaeology. I mean, real, legitimate archaeological work that deals with this stuff. So I'm not really doing something new. It's out there. And my latest book, I just finished writing it. It's called Dead Presence: The Archaeology of an Interactive Past. In that book, I talk about exactly what a ghost excavation is. I have 120 pages of theory and methodology to back up the second part of the book, which is about 5 or 6 case studies of actual ghost excavations based on the theory I have in the first 110 pages. And the last 50 pages of the book are a summary of what we got at Antietam just this past September. So I'm really excited about this book because oh man, wait till people start reading this. A lot of what I'm not just saying this stuff. This stuff that doesn't pop in my head, and I say, hey, we're going to do it this way because I think it's the way to do it. No, I got a great baseline of theory and methodology that says what I'm doing is really a legitimate and very, very significant way of doing ghost research. And I have all this theory from a lot of different authors and scientists that back up what I do. I'm just bringing it all together from an archaeological, anthropological, and theatrical perspective all in one.
Well, now, books. You've talked about 3 or 4 so far that you've written.
Yeah, I've written about 12 so far, and I have 5 in the burner waiting to be published.
Where?
What?
Where can they get these books at?
Well, all the books are on Amazon.com or on
if I may,
Borders or in Barnes & Nobles. All of them are there.
Go ahead, Jeff.
And they all have in search of, so you can go in there and click on there and read a few pages of how I write and what I write about. Table of contents is there, so you can look at it and choose for yourself, or you can order the books directly from me. Just going to my website or emailing me. I'll be glad. Or you go to one of my lectures, or I give a lot of lectures all the time at various conferences. Or even better, not only read what I say, but also see what I do in the field. I mean, the best way to understand what I do is to see me actually doing it in the field with a team. And when the team, when I don't have any. I don't choose people to say, well, you can go and you can't go, or you don't know enough, or you don't. I don't like you, or anything like that. No, this is open to anybody who would like to see what I do, how I do it, as long as they listen to what I tell them to do, exactly the way I tell them to do it. I mean, I'm very, very. To try to make it very controlled, very contextual, very resonating. You got to follow what I tell you to do. I mean, and see for yourself what happens.
I'll back that up.
Go ahead.
I'll back that up. What John just said. I have a question concerning the home state of Pennsylvania, John.
Yeah.
Doug and Jan from the chat room wanted to know: have you ever done any ghost excavating along the Susquehanna River?
Along the Susquehanna, what part of the Susquehanna?
I think they're concerned about the Susquehannock tribe down there.
You mean the Indian culture?
Right,
the
right.
1605 Susquehannock village sites you mentioned.
No, what I'm interested in though is petroglyphs. There's a lot of petroglyphs along the rivers of Pennsylvania from various cultures. I would assume that among the Susquehannocks too, there's probably a lot of petroglyphs. What I'm trying to associate the petroglyphs with infrasound, and also the presence of belief in Wendigos and Sasquatch. I think there is a very, very direct relationship between Native American folklore, petroglyphs, infrasound, and Bigfoot and Wendigo sightings. In fact, I'm writing a book about that. So I would be interested in looking at sites that have petroglyphs along the river, and see if there's any evidence of people having encounters with Wendigos, if everybody knows what a Wendigo is, and or Bigfoot sightings. Pennsylvania is interestingly enough, is very, very noted for Bigfoot, and also, interestingly enough, Pennsylvania is noted for werewolf sightings. There's a lot of sightings, supposedly, of werewolf-like creatures in Pennsylvania. So I'm very interested in that, too, from the perspective of what happened to me in Winchester, England. I think wolf tales and are very, 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 wolf tales and wolf legends are very, very significant. But I think it all revolves around the idea of petroglyphs, water, infrasound, and incidences of reported sightings of Bigfoot and Wendigos. I think they're all related in some aspect, in some perspective. So I'm looking at that.
John,
well, John, you know,
I was going to say, in my youth, I used to go to a summer camp in Pennsylvania and had a very strange experience that I have in the metaphysical paranormal aspect of my website. And what was interesting was years later, since I've also been into cryptozoology and Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and all, I came across one book which did indicate an entire chapter called The Pennsylvania Effect. I'm like, wait, what? And apparently every state in the country has Sasquatch sightings. And when I read about that, I was like, wait a minute, is that what I experienced? Because I had something really, really weird happen to me.
Right.
I have it on my site, and it's I actually saw Bigfoot, like I mentioned earlier. I was there in the early 1970s when this film came out, The Legend of Boggy Creek. I was there in Falk, Arkansas. I saw a lot of things related to possible Bigfoot sightings there. And actually, I wrote about it again also in Digging Deep. But actually, I think there were some strange things that happened to me there, and I couldn't explain at the time. But when I did the research for the book Digging Deep, I found out that some archaeologists and some cryptozoologists are saying that Bigfoot has infrasonic capabilities, which means these are sounds that the human ear can hear.
but it does affect humans. It brings fear to humans, and to certain animals, it petrifies them, that they're immobile for a time. When we were doing this investigation in Falk, Arkansas, after the movie The Legend of Boggy Creek came out, there was a group of hunters there trying to catch this Bigfoot because there was a $50,000 reward. But they were afraid to go out into the swampy areas and out into the wooded areas for some strange reason. They had all kind of an arsenal of rifles and stuff like that, but they were afraid to go out there. And I was always wondering, well, why were they afraid? And then on our last night, we had a dog come into our camp, and it was just a dog wandering around. So we fed it. It probably smelled our food. So we fed it, and then all of a sudden, we heard all these strange noises from out in the distance, and then we smelled this really foul smell. Then we heard some rustling in the wooded area behind our campfire, and this dog starts sniffing around, and he goes down this little pathway. So we followed the dog, and this rustling in the woods was getting stronger. And I said, oh, something's coming. And the dog goes about 10 feet up in front of us, and all of a sudden, it just stops. It was like completely petrified. And all the hair on the dog just stood up, and its tail went underneath its belly. And it just stood there motionless for about 3 or 4 minutes. Then all of a sudden it just relaxed, and it turned and ran back down the road yelping, and we never saw it again. And I said, what just happened to this dog? Then I read about Bigfoot has infrasonic capabilities. It causes fear in humans, and it petrifies animals, especially dogs. So what happened to the dog, that petrification of that dog, and that fear in those hunters that they wouldn't go out into that swampy area, could have been caused by the infrasonic vocalizations of a Bigfoot in the area. And I didn't put those two ideas together from 1972 until 2010. That's when I put them together. That's when I got the information. So maybe I actually got verification of an actual Bigfoot and his use of infrasonic vocalizations to petrify a dog and to terrify humans. Maybe that's what I got. I found that very interesting. And if you look, there's a petroglyph in California, in the mountains of California, and it shows a huge creature, ape-like creature on a rock, and it has these rays coming out of its eyes, and it's interpreted as tears coming out of the eyes of this big ape-like creature. Well, I believe that these are not tears coming out of the eyes. It's the indication of an ultrasonic ray coming out of the mind of a Bigfoot. That's how I interpret that petroglyph. I don't know if I'm right or not, but it sort of sounds a lot like what happened to me in Falk, Arkansas in '72, and this petroglyph with the rays coming out of the eyes and this huge ape-like creature. I mean, that's why I see the similarity between petroglyphs, infrasound, water, because water retains memory, so you have water memory, and ideas of Bigfoot in the vicinity, and ideas of Wendigos, too. Creatures.
We're going to take another quick break. Our time is just shooting right on by again, like it usually does. 2 hours only seems like a half hour, seems like once we get started. I already have some more questions coming in, and we'll get to those right after we come back from break. Craig, do you have any more questions that's come in?
No, I have a comment for John. John, before you come down with us, you don't have to go shopping because Jan has some cool petroglyph shirts for you. So you're all set.
Oh, great.
And Jeff, do you have any questions come in?
Nobody's actually PM'd me with any questions.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I do have some, and we'll do those when we come back. Craig, why don't you go ahead and take us out for break this time?
Sure. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. You're listening to John Sabol on the Paranormal View with Henry, Jeffrey, and Craig. We'll be back in just a few short minutes.
ParaX Radio Network, powered by CBS.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Paranormal View right here on the ParaX Radio Network. We have Craig Rupp and Jeffrey Gould co-hosting, and our guest is John Sabol. So I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. We have a huge crowd in the chat room, and we have a couple million listening from around the world. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with us tonight. With that,
the ratings seriously say millions.
Up there, they're up there.
Oh,
That includes the ghost.
there you go.
Well, you know, my little fingers can only count so high, but it's up there.
Hey, I got one right now that wants to. I mean, this one wants to get on right now. I mean, he's singing. You hear him singing?
I hear something.
You hear that?
Who is that?
Singing. They're singing at the 11th Connecticut Monument with Mary saying they're reading the letter. Did you hear that?
I heard something.
He's singing the home of the. You want to hear it again? Here it comes. Hear it?
Uh-huh.
He's singing. They're all coming in.
Wow.
That's one of our EVPs.
We got.
That's undoctored. That's undoctored. I didn't clean that up. That's as it happened.
Well, that's good like that. That's the kind that I really like to get. The kind you don't have to do anything to. Here it is. So,
Yeah.
we got. I've got a bunch of questions already. I've seen another one that flew past in the chat room, and I didn't get that one. Hopefully, Jeff was able to pick it up. I got one from MPRS Terry, and she says she grew up around Boggy Creek while she was still living there. She wants to say that the Boggy Creek monster was debunked. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I've heard some of the things about that it wasn't. It was just sort of like a publicity stunt. But I mean, okay, I don't know, where, what other people have seen, have heard, or anything like that. I'm just telling you what happened to me, and it was amazing. I mean, it was like we spent like 3 or 4 days there, and I just couldn't explain what happened to the dog and why these men were acting that way. I got footprints that were 13 or 14 inches long that were right there embedded in near the swampy area there. I got that terrible stench. I mean, you can write that off and say, well, yeah, there were people in there trying to fake this stuff. That could have been a fake footprint. That smell could have been faked. But I cannot explain the behavior of the men or that dog of what I saw in context, in relationship to a smell, to a movement, to that dog reacting there. And when that happened in 1972, I could not explain that behavior. It was not until 2010 when I was reading some other books about Sasquatch and the idea that Sasquatch had infrasonic capabilities and what the infrasonic capabilities were capable of doing to humans and animals that I made the connection. Now, maybe I'm making a wrong connection, but to me that seems more than coincidental that what happened there all of a sudden 30 plus years later, I get a verification of what happened way back in 72, and it's explainable by this idea of infrasonic vocalizations. Now, how could a human create an infrasonic vocalization that petrifies petrifies a dog to make it immobile? I mean, how would they do that? I don't know. So I'm not saying that what happened there what happened at Boggy Creek was real or not, but what happened to me was more than coincidental, and I can't just brush it off and saying, well, it was debunked.
Okay, I have another question. This one is from Joe of Visions Magazine, and he wants to know, what's a ghost in your opinion?
Well, okay, now, I differentiate between ghost and spirit. A ghost, I'm not, for me, a ghost is very, very specific because I'm after interactive past presence in the first thing. So people have labeled ghosts as haunting, residual, things like that. I first differentiate between a ghost and a spirit. A ghost has not crossed over. A spirit has crossed over and has come back. That's one thing. But I'm after not necessarily a ghost as the contemporary folklore says a ghost is. To me, I'm looking at interactive past presence as an archaeologist. Now, for me, an interactive past presence from an archaeological perspective is a cultural memory practice that is maintained by a personality that still survives after death. Now, in my new book, I'm working on a thing called the extended mind hypothesis and cognitive resonance, and this is stuff that is being developed in neural archaeology today. So it's pretty technical stuff, but I kind of relate to that idea that what survives after physical death, when the shell of the physical body is gone and dead, there is survival of memory of a personality that survives independent of the physical body. And what I try to do is resonate with those who have not crossed over. That memory is still embedded on this planet. It's just it resonates at a different level, and it's not because it's on a higher plane or a lower plane. It's that it's a different cultural activity from the past, so therefore it resonates at a different level. So what I try to do is an activity in a specific space where past activity was performed that resonates with the frequency of that past activity, that tries to stimulate that past cultural memory of an individual who once performed cultural activities. They could be mundane activities, walking up the stairs or walking down the stairs. Now, what substantiates that somewhat is the idea of if you go to specific places, you don't have a lot of different things happening that are not related to that particular place in history or in culture. If you go to a Civil War battlefield, you got things that are specifically related to a Civil War battle and not to a battle that happened in ancient Roman times or something like that. So what I'm saying is I don't call it a ghost, I call it an interactive past presence. And in archaeology, a lot of archaeologists today, there's one book called published in 2008 called Cultural Memory Practices, and it talks about these ideas of the retention in some instances, in some spaces, of a memory that is still lingering around certain spaces. It's cultural memory, and what I'm trying to do is resonate with that cultural memory by trying to tweak that memory by doing something that was performed before in that same space during a certain time within a certain cultural tradition. So, first of all, you have the idea of ghost and spirit. A ghost hasn't crossed over, a spirit has. But I really don't want to call it a ghost because that has a lot of cultural baggage with it. Because if you go to non-Western cultures, a ghost is very, very much different than what our Western perceptions of a ghost is. So I try not to use that word ghost. I rather deal with using something interactive past presence, interactive past memory practices. As an anthropologist, I've studied in other cultures, including in Mexico among the Mixteca Indians of Oaxaca, Mexico, and the Zapotec Indians or the 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘕𝘺𝘰𝘺𝑗𝑚 of the Veracruzan coast, and they have a lot of ideas of what spirits are and what ideas of ghosts are. Very, very different than ours. Or you go along the Hopi and the Navajo. They have different perceptions about ghosts and spirits. I mean, they in the Southwest, in the houses, the spirits, the ghosts of the ancestors live in the houses of the people today. They're there. They're part of the house. So I mean, the idea of ghost is it's cultural baggage, and it has a lot of connotations to a lot of different people. I prefer to use the term interactive, past cultural presence.
Are you in a group, or you just go out with a few people?
No. I was in groups before, and I would go into a group, and there's just so much politicizing, so much egotism, so much bantering back and forth that I said, no, I don't need that. I don't need all of that garbage. I'd rather go out and ask people, okay, I did some research. I'm going to go and excavate this site, and I just put out a call. Would anybody is anybody interested in going out and working with me? This is what I do. The only thing I ask for is please follow my rules and regulations and my guidelines. If you don't like what I do after we're finished, then that's fine. Go somewhere else. Do what you want to do. Do it your way. But at least give me the chance of showing you what I do and how I do it, and at least give me the benefit of the doubt of demonstrating how I do what I do. I mean, be a professional about it, and if you don't like what I do, that's fine. That's your opinion. I'm not asking you to say, hey, this is the way to go. This is the way it should be done. I'm not saying that. So I try to stay away from the political aspects of it. I just say, hey, I'm interested. This is what I want. This is what I love to do. This is what I've been doing for many, many years. It works for me. Give it a try. See if this is what you like to do. You're going to have a lot of fun, I guarantee you. But it's a lot of hard work. Many times I have people say, "Oh, that's too much work. I don't want to do that. I just want to go out and snap some pictures, do some quick EVPs, and to take some videos and walk around and stuff like that." Well, that's not what I do. I do it a specific way. It's very, very controlled. It's very, very meticulous. But that is what I was trained as an archaeologist to do. It's very, very meticulous work. And I just don't go to one site and say, okay, whoom, I went to Gettysburg, that's one excavation. Then I'm going to go to Antietam, that's another excavation. And then I post on a website and says, I have investigated 1,500 sites. No. I have to go back to the same site multiple times. What I'm trying to establish when I go to a site is a process that is reiterative. It can be repeated by other groups at other times or by me at a later time. I record the whole process of presence and absence of what I do so that I could say I can come back and do it again. And do it again, repeat the same experiments, develop new ones. I'm trying to establish a specific baseline whereby I can build. I'm building from the bottom up, not from the top down, saying, okay, this is what a ghost is. This is EVP. This is what a tech site survey is. No, I don't go from that top down. I go from the bottom up. I build up from the bottom. But it establishes a specific process, which I had called POP, participate, observe, and perform. It works very well, and I can go back to the same site time and again, repeat the prior experiments because I got it documented, and then build from there and go on again. For example, at Antietam, I'm going to repeat many of the experiments we did before. I learned a lot of lessons, a lot of mistakes that I made in Antietam. I'm going to try to eliminate those the next time we go back to Antietam, but I also got a lot more information about how I can build from what we got before. So I'm really excited about going back to Antietam. I'm really excited. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So that's what I'm saying. Anybody out there who is listening to me and wants to participate, please contact me or contact you guys, contact Craig, because I definitely need a team. But I have to stress the fact that if you're going to go out with me, you have to follow my process.
Well, there you go. Everybody's been invited, so just contact John if you want to go out on one of these. Excuse me.
Actually, if I may, Nyla in the chat room had a question asking if John has ever been to 𝘋𝘰𝘯𝘰𝘳 and what did he feel there, because she always felt blackness.
Yeah, I've been to Chichen Itza many, many times. My first time in Chichen Itza was back in 1970. Back then I drank. I drank a lot of beer. So one time I think I went to, I was in Mérida, the capital of the Yucatan, and then I decided to take a side excursion to Chichen Itza. But that's after I had about 8 or 9 Montejo beers, the dark beer from the Yucatan. And I went to Chichen, and then I decided, well, hey, I think I'll jump in the sacred cenote in Sacred Well in Chichen. Unfortunately, somebody grabbed me, so I didn't go into the water, jump in the water. So I've had, but what's interesting about Chichen is the ball court. Now this is very, very interesting. Do you know not only the ball court but also the Castillo? But the ball court is very, very interesting because the ball court has a lot of infrasonic properties. That it's the way it's structured at the ball court at Chichen, you could actually hear at certain times, in certain positions, you could actually hear like the growling of a jaguar because of the resonating properties of doing some type of activities there where they play ball. You could actually get these growls coming from a jaguar. It sounds like a jaguar. Infrasonic characteristics that become louder and turn into like growls of a jaguar and other things. There's been a lot of acoustical archaeological research done at Chichen Itza regarding these different soundscapes at the ruins, and of course at the Castillo there's the actual during the solar eclipse. During the solar solstice, that you have actually a shadow coming down the steps of the pyramid, forming a serpent down at the bottom, like serpent crawling down all the way to the bottom. Plus, there's other sounds, acoustical sounds at El Castillo too. So Chichen Itza is a very, very magical place. When I was there, there wasn't that many tourists there. I was also in Palenque in the Chiapas jungles way back in 1970 as well. And when I was there, I went down into the Pacal's tomb, right down in the Temple of the Inscriptions. Now you can't get in there. Even an archaeologist has to get special permission to go in there. But I was in there doing all kinds of stuff. I went out in the jungle by myself, looking for ruins around Palenque. Actually, I got stung by a whole bunch of mosquitoes, and I had malaria for a little while. I was really, really sick in a little place called Isla Mujeres. Now Isla Mujeres is very, very famous. And Playa del Carmen off the Yucatan Peninsula. When I was there back in 1970, there was one hotel, and the hotel cost like $3 a night. Now not too far away from there is Cancun. So I was there right when it was very, very virgin territory. I traveled all around the Yucatan. I read John Lloyd Stevens' account of travels in Yucatan and in Central America from the 1840s, and I kind of really simulated his route. I did a research paper for the University of Pittsburgh back in 1970 based on these travels. So, yeah, I've been around the Yucatan a lot in Chiapas, among the Lacandon Indians, also in Chiapas, down into Oaxaca, a lot of the Mixtec and Zapotec sites down in Oaxaca, Monte Alban, Mitla, Uxmal's in the Yucatan, Monte Alban, Zachilla. So I've been around a lot, yeah. But there are a lot of really nice. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Kat, keep waiting for you to take a breath. Kat wants to know, do you consider yourself a psychic medium, what have you?
No. I don't. Like I was saying before, I can go to places and people are picking up different impressions, and I say, I don't feel anything, you know. And other times I can go into a building or a house and I can describe the way it was a long time ago. I mean, I hit it right on the nose. So I don't know what you would call that, but I don't consider myself psychic. I just use my anthropological sensitivity to cultural behaviors and my archaeological sensibility to multiple layers of presence in the same space. So that's when I go in, and then I use when I do the cultural scenarios, I use my acting abilities, because I was trained in method acting in Mexico City for 2 years, and I've been an actor in many movies, on TV shows and commercials. I've been in back in the 80s and early 90s. I've worked with Schwarzenegger in Conan, Sylvester Stallone in Rambo. I was in the first Dune movie. I was also in James Bond movie License to Kill with Timothy Dalton. So I use all of these things that I studied and had experiences with, my archaeological training to go down through the layers, my anthropological training to understand past cultural behavior, and then my method acting abilities to recreate these cultural scenarios that resonate and that are really, true feelings. I really put out real feelings, try to make it as honest as possible. So I'm not using anything that I haven't done for many years. I have degrees in archaeology, anthropology. I've had all this field experience in archaeology, anthropology. I have all this experience as an actor, and I use all three things. So I'm not doing something that I haven't done since the mid-'60s. So I've been doing it for 40 years. To me, it's second nature to me, but it is just to me, it's so interesting and so enjoyable. I just love going out into the field, doing all this stuff, it's so satisfying. And it's not getting the Holy Grail or finding that full-bodied manifestation or whatever. That's not for me. What it is the journey. I love doing the research. I love doing the field work. I love going out there and popping the ghost. And it's just so incredible, such an incredible feeling. I don't care if there's a camera behind me recording what I do. I don't care about getting all the YouTube videos and putting up there and showing people what I've done, something like that. We're working on a new major website that I'm developing right now, and I'm going to put up all this evidence. I don't like to put up the EVPs or the stuff that I got on Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. I'd like to show people in person, in these conferences or in private speaking engagements, hey, this is what we got here. And not only that, this is what we got, but I'll invite you to come out with me and see in person how it was recorded. I don't have to invent anything. It's just right there. It's just so incredible, just the feeling that you get. And so I don't need to show off to anybody about this stuff. Hey, you want to come out? You're invited. If you don't want to come out, that's fine with me. Do what you like to do, as long as you like what you're doing. I love what I do. It's just great. It's just incredible. The rush you get, it's just fantastic. And I can go out there 24 hours straight and not get tired. And Craig, you can. How did you feel after 6 hours out there? Is he still there?
Wait a minute. Yeah, he's still on. Craig?
Hey, Craig?
Has Craig got to the bathroom or something?
Maybe he muted his
I
mic.
got bored listening to me, I guess.
But he's on. Our time is just really flying right on by. A couple of things I want to get in before we completely run out of time.
Hey, am I on now?
Yeah, you're on now. I want to remind everybody that coming up right after our show is Joe and Tara with Visions Radio. So stay tuned for that, because They're doing a great job, just like all the other shows that's here on ParaX. So there's always something for somebody. So no matter when you get on, you can always hear good programming. With that, we are running fairly quickly right on by, and I want to give. Did you guys have any other questions come in?
No, I
didn't. Not so much.
Well, did you have a question, Jeff?
Actually, I was doing some research, and apparently, I've been putting your books on one of my web pages. I list metaphysical books that I recommend that I've read, or guests on the show I've been adding and such. I put 9 of your titles onto the my page, including but not limited to Ghost Excavator, Unearthing Drama, Ghost Cultures, Theory, Context, Scientific Practice, Gettysburg Unearthed, Battlefield Haunscape, Anthracite Coal Regions, Body of Substance, Phantom Gettysburg, Digging Deep, Rehauntings of Gettysburg. And one of the reviews on the Amazon page indicated that your website was the ghostexcavator.com, but that doesn't seem to come up. Is that what you did? Or?
Yeah, well, what happened was my publisher didn't tell me that my domain expired and that I should renew it. Well, they didn't tell me that. All of a sudden, somebody else grabbed it.
Well,
So
it's not being used by anybody. You'll have to see if anybody's got hold of it.
The new website is going to be www.ghostexcavations.com. We are now designing it right now. It should be up and running within about a week.
Oh, cool. So just the ghostexcavation.com or Ghost Excavation?
We're going to try hopefully don't go www.ghostexcavations.com.
Okay.
Yeah, because actually we're working on it right now. We're doing some stuff while I'm talking here. I have some other people putting some stuff in, transferring it from some of my other websites and some of my other things, and we're transferring some of the data right now as we speak. So it'll be up and running hopefully next week, and I'm going to keep on adding to it. But again, this is just a forum for what I do. I'd rather talk to people in person, show them personally what we got, what we get, and also coming out into the field with me and demonstrating it, because these books are not books these are not ghost stories, my books. I mean, some of them are, they're pretty technical, and sometimes I get criticism by people and saying, you're using all these words, these big words and stuff like that. I'm not using anything that an archaeologist doesn't use, that an anthropologist doesn't use. If the person doesn't understand the words I'm using, well, do a little bit more research, or look at a dictionary, or Google the word on, or something like that. I'm not trying to be full of myself and using big words. These are the words that I'm accustomed to using as an archaeologist, as an anthropologist. So it's nothing big, and I cite a lot of references. I'm not saying that I invented all of these things or this theory I invented. I'm getting inspiration from multiple sources, and every time I get an idea from somebody, I cite that individual who I got that idea from. What I'm trying to do is try to build a methodology that is very, very solid and that is very, very workable. And I love going out into the field, because every time I go out into the field, I can tweak the idea even more. I learn a lot by going out into the field, and I'm tweaking it every time. I'm making mistakes. I'm omitting the mistakes. I'm learning from the mistakes. And it's getting better each time, better and better and better. So that's why I continuously love to go out into the field. And I love to listen to what other people have to say. Whenever we have an excavation, I just don't say, okay, this is what we're going to do. That's it, closed, framed. That's the way we're going to do it. I listen to what other people say. Well, John, maybe if we did this, it might be better. And I say, hey, okay, that's a good idea. We'll do that. So don't get me wrong. I'd say, okay, we're going to go out to the field and we're going to follow 100% of what I do. That's not the way I work. I listen to what people have to say once they experience what I do. And if it sounds really great, I will definitely accept it and give them credit for what they suggested. So again, it's a learning experience. I learn from what people tell me, and I learn from working in the field, and they learn from me. So we're all in this, learning from each other. And the only way to do this is to go out and do it, and be a team, and be very, very open about it, and learn from our mistakes, and keep on improving the process until it gets better and better and better. And that's the only way I believe we should do it.
I'm going to cue in here from my muted mic fiasco. John, I went, I saw, I will be back. I didn't want Antietam to end. I did not want to leave that night. We were having such a great time.
Yeah. I mean, not a great time, but we got tons of stuff, right, Greg?
Oh, yeah. But I was having a great time.
Yeah. It's going to be better next time. It's going to be better next time.
Now, you did send some EVPs over for me to play, and I'm going to play one or two of them because of the way the time is. They are a little long, about anywhere from 1.5 to 2 minutes. Which one of those did you think were the better ones of them?
The Yankee, we talked about that earlier.
And the Antietam Yankee?
Right. And then play the gunshots when we thought we were done for the night.
Okay.
And that same EVP, I got "Thanks, John" at the end of that. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
When I said that, yeah, you didn't hear that?
No, I didn't.
See, I know that one's in here somewhere. I just don't see it right offhand. I do have the one though here that says Antietam Yankee, and if you want to hear some of the things that John does, I'm going to play this one. So put your headphones on and turn your volume up, because we're going to play this one real fast like. So here it comes. Now, I'm going to let you guys tell everyone what was going on there, because some of you guys were out there hollering Yankee die and all that. But you guys were at the other end of the bridge from where you had the microphone at, right?
No, that was one of the ones I sent you. John was actually coming across the bridge, and we had felt that there was somebody there, and I was just following him with a recorder, and he was.
We had the Confederate yell. I mean, the rebel yell.
And I was following him, and then I just stayed behind because I felt a cold spot, and I stood there, and that's when I got the Yankee.
And it kept getting further away as he was walking away from you. Now that's, how many people did you have there that night doing the enactment?
We had 8. And I'd like to personally thank on the radio the following. I'd like to thank Reese Sadler, Big Jim Jones, Gary French, Mike Stevenson, Timothy Manville, and of course Mary and Craig. Hey, thanks a lot. You guys were a great team.
You're welcome.
I would play some of the others, but right now, the way things are running, we are going to be running out of time as it is, because I got to get some things in here and let some other people talk a little bit. I don't want you to go anywhere even after we get off, and Craig and Jeff will and I will talk with you for a little bit after the show. So you can stick around. But before we go anywhere, why don't you tell people about your books, where you can get them, and your website, how to find the different things that you've done.
Well, I'll have Mary tell you that.
Okay.
My throat is getting a little... Go
Well,
ahead,
that's
Mary.
fine.
I feel bad because Mary hasn't said very much. Go ahead, Mary.
No, that's okay.
Hey, Mary.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey. The website, we're still that's a work in progress. So I don't really want to give out a domain name. I mean, John said something, but I want to make sure it hasn't been taken yet. What was the other? The books, you can find them on Amazon. Just do a search on John G. Sabol Jr. and it'll pop right up. I also put all of his books. I don't think you can access Amazon, but they're also on his Facebook page. If you friend John, you can John Sabol, Sabol, and you can find his books on there. And I also put like a little blurb about each of the books on there. But yes, definitely go to Amazon, and they're all on there. What else? Barnes and Noble, John, and Borders. And
well, that's good. You'll probably be getting a whole lot of hits now of people friending you on Facebook.
He's already over, what, 2,000?
About 3,000.
3,000.
So you better hurry up before I get blocked out.
Uh-oh.
Good thing I sent in my ad early.
What I would love for people to do is please let me know what you think, and please offer me any suggestions or any ideas that you got that you think should better this, because I think everybody working together will only make it better. So, I've been so involved in this thing for so many years, I can't really see where I'm making mistakes sometimes because I'm so immersed in this stuff, and I so love what I do. I can't really, see the problem sometimes. So I love when people tell me, well, wait a minute, you should have did this, or maybe you should have did that, or maybe it's better this way, and I don't understand this. Could you explain it a little better? So I love those comments and those discussions. So please don't hesitate to do that.
Well, now,
quick question for John.
Go ahead.
Do you have any time frame of when you're going to be in the Gettysburg area again?
Hopefully, I'd like to be in Gettysburg back next month, depending upon the weather, because I want to go back. Now, what I did mention before is I've noticed a major difference between the ghost excavation at Gettysburg and the ghost excavation at Antietam. Antietam, of course, is less traversed. There are less activity at Antietam, and we didn't have to go through a lot of contemporary layers of presence. We went right down to the Civil War area pretty fast, and we got a lot of stuff. At Gettysburg, it's a lot harder to go down to the Civil War layer because of all the contemporary activity there, the ghost tourism, the ghost hunts, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of extraneous stuff happening in Gettysburg, and it's a lot harder to get more data from Gettysburg than it is for Antietam. So that just shows you that, if you're out there, all this ghost tourism and a lot of the non-resonating ghost hunting activities do create contemporary residuals that we have to go through to get down to the historical period, back down to the things that really happened back 100, 150 years ago, because of all these residual energies being created by all this activity on the battlefield. I'm not saying that's wrong. All I'm saying is it just creates more residual energies that we have to differentiate from other types of more historical energies. So That's why I love to do resonating activities, that I don't create more contemporary residuals, since I'm resonating with the time period. So I'm not creating anything, I'm just resonating with it. So we got to watch what we do. I've at Fort Mifflin, for example, we were doing a scenario on a screaming woman by the artillery shed, and when we were setting up and we were trying to record the setup, what we actually got on film were 3 K2 meters in full operation on the floor of the artillery shed. That was a residual of a prior ghost hunt where people had K2 meters they were using to record EMF, or to ask, if there was anybody there, using it as EVP. So what we got was somebody doing that. And we did not have K2 meters with us at the time in the investigation. So we recorded somebody else's prior ghost hunt. So this does happen. When you go out there and do all of these things, ghost tourism and all that stuff at these haunted locations, you are also laying down contemporary residual elements. So you got to watch that stuff.
Our time is just about out, and I want to give Jeff a chance to give his side out, because he does an excellent job at putting up our shows and stuff, and telling about them. So I wanted to let him give that out.
Oh, okay. Well, let me find out what freaking page that is. It's on my 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘕 site, GEOFFGOULD.net / and if I can find the proper actual page. Oh, there we are. /2011 Paranormal View _co-hosting.htm. It's kind of long, I know.
Very good.
I'll put it in the chat room so that people can bookmark it.
Excellent job.
Yeah, but if you go to my 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘕.net /paranormal.htm, you'll find my paranormal experiences. Crystal Lake Camps is my Sasquatch experience, and all that. That's great. All I can say, consider we're already over time.
Yes, we are. And we got to run. I want to thank you guys for being on tonight, John and Mary. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You guys,
thank you so much.
Stick around right after the show, and we'll chat with you for a few minutes. So
okay.
Stay tuned for Visions Magazine Radio. That'll be coming right up with Joe and Tara. Until then, next week we will have guests SOAR, Southern Ohio Apparitions Research. So we'll see you next week. This is 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘕.
Craig Rupp. Thanks, everybody.
Jeffrey Gould.
And we'll see you next week. So stay tuned.